In October of 2018, I drove up to my uncle's cabin in northern Pennsylvania.
The property had sat empty for 6 months after his passing.
I needed to prep it for sale before winter really set in.
The structure was a steep A-frame with dark cedar siding and a rusted metal roof. It sat at the end of a 50-yard gravel driveway surrounded by dense pines.
The air smelled like wet earth and decaying leaves. I parked my sedan near the yellow front door.
The paint on the door was peeling in long, brittle strips. I unlocked the deadbolt and stepped into the main living area. The interior was silent and cold. Unfinished pine boards covered the walls, darkening with age. The ceiling vaulted 20 feet high at the peak.
A black metal spiral staircase stood in the center, leading to the loft bedroom.
Dust motes floated in the pale light coming through the massive triangular window.
I dropped my duffel bag on the worn leather couch. That was when I noticed the first sign.
The back door, leading to the deck, was unlatched.
I remembered locking it during my last visit in August. I brushed it off as my own faulty memory. I locked it tight and turned up the thermostat. Furnace kicked on in the basement below. I spent the afternoon sweeping the wide plank wood floors.
By evening, a steady rain began to drum against the metal roof.
It was a rhythmic, deafening sound that filled the hollow space.
I made a sandwich and sat at the small kitchen island.
I noticed a faint smudge of dried mud near the refrigerator.
It was shaped like a boot heel, specifically a heavy lug sole.
My boots were flat-soled work shoes.
I stared at it for a moment, then wiped it away.
I told myself the realtor must have shown the place recently.
I ignored the uneasy tightening in my stomach.
Night fell quickly, turning the large window into a black mirror.
I climbed the spiral stairs to the loft.
The metal steps sounded softly beneath my feet.
The loft was simple, containing a queen bed and a small dresser.
I lay down, listening to the rain on the roof. Sometime around 2 in the morning, I woke up. The rain had stopped completely. The house was settling with loud cracks and groans. Then, I felt a vibration travel up the metal frame of the bed.
It was rhythmic and subtle.
Someone was walking up the spiral staircase. I held my breath, staring at the opening in the floor.
The steps were silent, but the vibration was undeniable. I waited for a head to appear above the floorboards.
Nothing happened.
The vibrations stopped halfway up the stairs.
I lay frozen for hours until dawn broke.
In the morning light, I felt foolish.
I packed my bag to leave immediately.
As I descended the stairs, I looked closely at the treads. On the 7th step, there was a fresh, wet footprint.
It was bare, human, and pointed back down. I followed the faint, wet trail to a small access panel. It was located directly under the spiral staircase.
The panel was slightly askew.
I pulled it open with a trembling hand.
Inside the crawl space, a dirty sleeping bag lay spread on the dirt.
Food wrappers were piled neatly in the corner. A small battery-powered lantern sat there, still glowing faintly. I had spent the night with a stranger beneath me. I realized how many signs I had simply chosen to ignore.
I backed away slowly, leaving the panel open. I grabbed my keys and ran to the car.
I drove away and never went back inside that cabin.
The realtor sold it 2 months later. I never told the new owners what I found.
Sometimes I wake up feeling that vibration in my own bed.
It reminds me of the space beneath the stairs. I know now that instinct is there for a reason.